Good afternoon. Heidi Foy here with Bullfrog Creatives. Proud to be partnering this week or the next couple of weeks with the National Intercollegiate Rodeo Association and the official CNFR. You guys, the countdown is coming to some real small numbers. It is going to be real quick. I know faculty directors and student directors, many of them are going to be in town. I got to look at my calendar here. Oh man, I'm still in May. What the heck? Are going to be coming to town next Wednesday. Man, time flies when you're having fun. Some of them are coming in on Tuesday to help set up the arena. They'll be in town for the board meetings, I believe, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. These guys will correct me if I'm wrong. I have no doubt about that. So the countdown is getting real close. So, hey, we're going to talk to faculty and student director today for the Rocky Mountain region. Stay tuned. All right, we are back. Let me add these guys in here. So I've got Kevin Bates and Derek Wadsworth. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I will tell you, you are not the first to not want to do this because technology, well, let's just say, I try to keep it on my good side, but it's difficult. So I really appreciate you guys joining me today. I appreciate you kind of coming out of your shell. We've already talked about that. We'll see how that goes. You guys might be the quietest that I've ever had on the broadcast.
Sorry about that.
No, I feel like we just have to get on the right topic and you will take off and you will come out of your shell. I just know it.
Yeah, I think most Cowboys are kind of quiet anyways.
Yeah.
Kind of reserved, but
I would agree with that. This has been, so I started this broadcast in 2020. As many people started doing a lot of things, using more technology in 2020. But if you can imagine, I had Roger Walters on here. I've had coaches that were holding their phones like down here. And like, so we got a really good view of, the nose. So it's been really fun to see, to see you guys in a little bit different light, but also still be able to talk about the one thing that I know that we all have in common, and that is our love of rodeo and college rodeo in particular. So, Kevin, why don't you talk to me a little bit about what is your role in college rodeo?
In college rodeo, for the last 17 years, I have been the advisor for the Colorado Mesa University rodeo team in Grand Junction, Colorado. For the last year, I have been the Rocky Mountain region faculty director. And so it's been one great big learning curve, but a lot of fun along the way. And we get to work with a lot of good people and with Derek and just get to know Cowboys from a different level.
Yeah, for sure. You're thinking right about now, there's some things they didn't tell you about this, huh?
Yeah, I didn't anticipate having to do interviews.
Well, you're in luck. It's just me, so it's no big deal. Derek, why don't you tell me a little bit about your background, what year you are in college, where you go to school, and then maybe what your major
is. Sure thing. So I come from a larger family, kind of have that Western heritage growing up. Both my parents, they had horses, cattle, worked the range, stuff like that. And so, college rodeos just kind of carried on down from them. And so that's why I love it. It's a family thing that we get to do. I attend Utah State University, and this next year I'll be a senior, I guess. And I'm studying mechanical engineering. So that's a little bit about me. I qualified for the CNFR this year, the bull riding. So I'll be there all week riding bulls and cheering everyone else on.
Very good. So what is this your first year, second year as student director?
This is my second year, and also my second or third year, I guess, that I qualify for nationals. So
very cool. Very cool. So we haven't really talked much. I feel like we haven't talked a whole lot about 2020 and kind of what that what that really did to the college season and especially to students. Maybe you can talk about that. You were still a contestant in 2020. What happened for you?
Well, for me, it was quite the experience, especially because our rodeo was going to be like that next weekend, right before everything kind of got really wild and everything was shutting down. And so it was probably like Monday, Tuesday. We were like, yep, we're just going to cancel and shut that down. And so we already had so much prepared already, some sponsors. We got the livestock already, some of them there, and we were getting set up. We had banners out. We were pretty much ready for the rodeo, and then we had to cancel, and so all our preparation was kind of put down the drain, and that was kind of hard for the team.
Yeah.
And then we're just really bummed because we were only halfway through the season, and a lot of us, the reason we came to school was to rodeo, and since we can't rodeo, then there's a little discouragement as far as school goes.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a little hard for some of the students.
Yeah, definitely.
I think another thing that was hard for the students was that not only did it shut down our rodeo season, and at that time Derek was at CSI, yes?
Yeah,
and
in Idaho.
So we had 5 rodeos under our belts from the fall and 1 in the spring, and then we got shut down before we went to CSI that year. And not only did it shut down our rodeo season, but a lot of the kids, it shut down the schools or classes as we knew them, and we had kids scrambling to utilize online classes and Zoom and other ways of getting an education, and it was just a tough time, rodeo season or not.
Yeah. I think, I don't know that we really, listen, I don't think anybody really wants to talk about what happened in 2020 because we just want to move on and never look back. But it's also important to note, I had 2 kids at home, 2 young elementary age kids. One was in pre-K, so he didn't even know what was going on yet. But talking about what college kids had to do, they had to really change and pivot, I think was the hot word in 2020, and change from this in-person learning lecture series, which I don't know, maybe everybody enjoys the online better, but it's still a lot different kind of learning and a lot different. There's really a lot more self-driven motivation rather than going to class and having that motivation from your peers. So I can see where it's really difficult. So everybody, we've talked about it a lot on the Bullfrog Creatives platform, and maybe not so much on the official page or the NIRA page, but everybody did get that year of eligibility back. Did you guys see a lot of those kids come back, or did you see a lot just move on?
I think it was probably half and half.
Yeah, we saw a lot that did, but a lot that didn't. And I think Jerry is right. Only about half actually utilized that extra year to get back, and others was just done, ready to move on.
If you're a senior, you've already hopefully you've already got a job. I didn't, but I know some people were more organized than that. If you've already got a job lined out and you already have these plans set up, one more year of eligibility really isn't in the picture.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, a lot of people were just sick of school at that time. Not sick of school, that's kind of harsh to say, but the process.
Yes, and if you've already been going for 3-4 years, you're ready to be done. Ready to be done at that point.
Yep.
So I get that. Well, I'm super happy. I think that I know that a lot of regions really saw a decrease in membership numbers. What did you guys see? Did you guys experience the same thing? Have you rebounded?
This year, we're kind of in our second year from 2020, of course. And so I think this year our numbers wise, overall for the region is up just a little bit over 2021, but not back where where it was prior.
Yeah.
So I think it's not so much COVID related, well, indirectly COVID related, yes.
Yeah.
But our numbers wise, competition wise, it's still as tough as it ever was.
Yeah, for sure. So before we start talking about, I'm going to have you guys kind of go through the results and talk about our qualifiers. But I didn't know this, but I guess not every region has the same number of rodeos. Do you guys have 10 rodeos?
Yeah.
We do. And I believe every region is supposed to have 10, even if they have to host some by the region itself. But I think every region has 10 rodeos so that it's a level playing field for all the kids, regardless of the region they're in.
Yeah. So we did learn last week from the Northwest region that they have 5, which I had no idea about that. That was new for me, but also very interesting. They're the smallest region, so they're kind of in still building mode. Have you guys seen an increase in breakaway ropers? And I think barrel racers, there's always a ton of us anyways, so that's always a big number.
So yeah, the events with the largest competitors or the most amount is probably the breakaway, the barrel racing, and the team roping. That's usually the 3 events that have the most competitors.
Yeah.
We did see an increase in breakaway ropers, though probably more so in breakaway than we did any other event.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I mean, I think that's kind of the status quo across the board right now, just because there are so many more opportunities. Well, not so many more. There are now opportunities past the collegiate level for breakaway ropers. So now this is kind of a group, I don't know, that word is wonky, but it's kind of a grooming phase to step up into that next level now.
Yep, I agree totally. I think making that an NFR event helped that sport event.
Yeah, it definitely strengthened it. Well, I'm going to have you guys talk about some results. Go ahead and you guys are going to have to draw straws. Who wants to talk here? Go ahead and talk about our men's team.
I'll do that. So the College of Southern Idaho, they were the men's team for the region. They always have bring a strong group of kids to the CNFR or to any regional rodeo. I know they practice hard. They got their own facilities, their own stock basically, so they know how to play the game and they come prepared.
Thank you.
Next is Utah Valley. I'm sure they're the same way. They just got a lot of talent, I think. They just get kids that know how to rodeo, and they got a good background there. So yeah, so that's Utah Valley.
All right, and how about women's team?
Go for it, Kevin.
On the women's team, Idaho State was dominant from start to finish this year for us. Kendi Wilson just does a great job of recruiting some very, very good talent. They don't have a big team, but what they do have is very, very effective. And Kendi's a good coach. She was our coach of the year this year and did really, really well. And they won pretty handily, I think. I mean, there was never any real jeopardy, even though Utah Valley, who was also runner-up in the men's team as well, was also a runner-up on the women's team. And Utah Valley is just a well-balanced team. They, in every event, they never really had a rock star, but they had 3 or 4 kids that you had to beat every weekend just to stay in the game. And so Utah Valley coach Shane Draper does a really good job of putting teams together, and the way when they show up, they're kids that just know how to win. College of Southern Idaho, that third place team, was having the number 3 women's team as well as the number 1 men's team also says a lot for Steve McKelly uh, uh, in at CSI, and they just do a great job of preparing kids and pushing kids forward and help them not just compete in the region, but compete at every event regardless. So they're just the caliber of coaches that we have in our region is, I feel, very impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, looks like we lost Derek. Hopefully he can get back in. He really left you hanging there, didn't he?
Yeah. Our men's all around this year was really, really fun to watch. Cole Igren, that from Weber, that won our men's all around, is a timed event contestant, and Wes Shaw, he rides bareback horses and team rope, steer wrestles as well, and so it was interesting to see it come down like it did in the men's all around. Drake Weigerly from Weber, really good friends, good teammates with Cole and Drake, and I'd have to look, but it seems like they even team up together. And so that was a pretty good
race.
Yeah. There's
Scroll down. Did he text you?
get back. Yeah, Derek's trying to get back on.
Okay.
Here. So,
No problem.
On our women's all around, JC Bastian from UVU is a typical what I was talking about, typical of the contestants that compete for UVU. She just didn't have to stand out in any one event, but she just consistently did every one that she does very, very well. And so McKenna Klingman, the runner-up all-around champion, is on the ISU, Idaho State's rodeo team, but it was a coach's choice in stepping there. But McKenna her points were actually not part of the team total standings, and they still won the women's team. So that tells you the caliber of.
Yeah, that goes to show you what everybody else is doing.
Yep, and McKenna, she won the goat tying pretty handily this year. McKenna went to nationals last year in goat tying as well, but she just barely got in by just a few points last year, and this year she left no doubt. So I guess we can get to that when we go down. But our all-around Kaylee, Cornea, and Emma, and Jimmy and those are just the best kids ever. When I look at our women's all-around, there isn't a student on there that any coach in the country wouldn't
want to
have on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Never mind the talent.
Yeah. All right, saddle bronc riding.
Yeah, in our bronc riding this year, we kind of struggled for contestants, more so than any other year we've ever had.
So I find this interesting because usually, lately it seems like the bareback numbers are down.
Exactly, and for this year, at least for the Rocky Mountain region, we had. It seems like we had 4 or 5 for most of the season, but it was it come down to these last couple rodeos where we was only 2 or 3 kids in these events, and the 2 that you're looking at from CSI, and that's one of the things that makes the College of Southern Idaho such a strong candidate, is they do focus on rough stock, and the kids that go to CSI go there. For that reason, they are a rough stock school, and they can obviously compete in the tying event stuff very well as well, but they Rough Stock is what carries them, and they're bronc riders. They'll take both bronc riders this year, and they're both pretty good candidates as far as being able to compete at the national level as well.
Well, and I think you can attest to this also. At first glance, you would say, "Oh, there's not very many saddle bronc riders. I'm going to go to that region." But I also feel like it makes it more difficult because part of competing is having someone to compete against.
Yeah, exactly.
You can always better yourself and do better next time than you did this time. But really, part of the adrenaline and the drive is competing against others. So I would say that it's probably just as hard to do well in a region and in an event that has lower numbers than it is in an event that has 100 contestants.
Yep, you're exactly right. And for that reason, I'm hope that going forward we'll be able to get more of our rough stock contestants into our region, and particularly in the bronc ride. So
Yeah,
that's one
for
of my
sure.
favorite events. Bareback riding this year was probably the funnest of all the rough stock to watch this year. It come down very, very competitive amongst those top 4, 5, 6 kids, and they and again they were all CSI.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
You're good. Yeah, there's a lot of CSI in there.
Against CSI at the same time. Darian Johnson did really, really well. Just 1 second.
You're good.
This Kevin.
We'll just keep going, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, I can't talk about any of these contestants because I don't know them, but while he's on the phone, I'm going to talk a little bit about the CNFR. So you guys know we've got the CNFR coming up, and it's coming up fast. So if you guys have not gotten your tickets, you can go to cnfr.com pretty easily. Unfortunately, I'm slightly embarrassed to know the phone number off the top of my head, but you can also call 307-577-3030, and you can call the box office. That's the box office number, and you can get your tickets lined up. For parents, for fans alike, make sure y'all get your tickets. I can tell you, well, I can't tell you, and I can't make any guarantees, but I would like to be able to make guarantees. The likelihood of a sold out crowd on a Friday night and Saturday night of the CNFR is super high. Obviously, I can't guarantee that, but don't wait. If this is something that you guys want to get involved in and you want to see and you want to watch, don't wait to get your tickets. Sorry, just filling some gaps there.
I believe they sold out last year, so I hope they do.
Yes.
Anyways, in the bareback riding this year was really tough. Those top 2 contestants went back and forth for most of the season, and it came right down to the very end as to how that was going to play out. And so, but Darian Johnson is just a good, solid bareback rider that comes with a lot of talent and very strong kid, and just knows how to play that game, and has been taught very, very well, and has very good coaches with Kelly Wardell, a former NFR contestant himself, teaching there and helping with that rodeo team. Darian would probably make the perfect student for someone like Kelly. But the Sebastian and Wes Shaw and Brent Applegarth, Brent is an interesting one. He ended up 4th this year, but he only competed in the last 6 rodeos of our year. And so had he been here for the entire year, would have probably be a different story on all of this. So very, very good bareback riders. And Eric Betancourt was a kid who, just like the other 4 above him, could, on any good weekend, would be one to beat. So it was fun to watch.
All right, bull riding.
Bull riding this year was another one with lower numbers, but and I wish Derek was here to help.
Yes, for sure. This is his event.
But while he's not, I can brag on him a little bit. Derek, to put most of his points together, even in the fall. Derek also competes in the steer wrestling and team open, and went to nationals last year in the tie down roping. He's a very tough all-around cowboy, and he put the bull riding aside this spring and focused on his other events. And even though he made some pretty good ground, he ended up bull riding was, I think, the only event he's going in this year. But that said, Breck Sanderson from CSI, he comes from Southern Utah, and he is just a good, solid bull rider. He rode a lot of good bulls in the fall, established himself very well. His spring, I don't think, was quite as good as he'd like to it have been, but he, almost, like I say, almost doubled everybody else's below him. So he's definitely a standout contestant for the Rocky Mountain region. But Derek is one of those that is just, he tries just as hard at bull riding as he does in the tiny events and the steer wrestling. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that he's going to nationals in the bull riding.
Well, and I would say, just before you move on from Derek, and any of our student directors, going to college and rodeoing at the same time is probably no different. Depends on who you ask. I would say it's a little bit different because you have extra responsibilities that maybe another collegiate athlete would have.
Yep.
But when you add college rodeo, school, some of these student athletes have jobs, and you add in virtually another job being a student director, that's a lot of pressure in a weekend. And I know I always volunteered for those types of positions as well. And I usually performed better because my mind was not so focused on doing well, but I had different things that I need to worry about. It's still a lot of organizing. You've got to be organized to get those sponsor flags and the banners and keeping in touch with all the coaches. I just feel like I don't know that we really talk about the level of stress and what that position can do to a student athlete. And I think that just a little bit of kudos for our student directors that are kind of adding that additional responsibility onto their plate.
Yep. Derek's a natural leader as well, and he just takes on this stuff in stride for some reason, and I think it shows. It takes maturity to handle all the different responsibilities, and not, like I say, not only with school, but when you're trying to rodeo on top of that, and especially if you're working timed event stuff like Derek and so many of these kids do, taking care of animals as well as yourself and your schedules, and it's mind-boggling what they do, but I'm sure glad they do. And our directors, I have to say, like I say, this is just my first year as a regional faculty director, but the caliber of students that stepped up, not just in our region, but when you see them at nationals, the student directors are just such amazing kids, and they're just impressive. It's no reason. I mean, it's pretty easy to see that where they are, why they're there, and I can't thank our student directors enough for all the stuff that they do and take the pressure off of the rest of it. It's really
for sure. Absolutely. And I think that there's kids that are made for that. I mean, there's adults that are made for those types of positions, and there's those that aren't. And, nothing taken away from anyone else. There's just a different personality type there.
Yep, I agree.
So tie-down roping.
Tie-down roping this year was Drake Wykerly was hands down the most consistent tie-down roper in our region, and there is one kid on this list that I don't think would not agree with that statement. Cole Igren, who was also our all-around champion, sitting second there, is just a talent to be reckoned with, and he steer wrestles as well. He team ropes. He I think tie down is his best personal event, but I don't know. Steer wrestling is just it's hard to say. All I know is that when we go to nationals with these three young men that are going to be tied down roping for us there, they're going to make a dent. That I have no doubt. So Logan comes from Utah State Eastern, and Logan also a steer wrestler, and those, as you can see, points wise, those third, fourth, fifth guys were all right. They're just right there neck and neck, and you could have just thrown a dart and taken any one and walked away with the winner. So a pretty impressive group. Steer wrestling this year is one that it's the one event that I didn't think had any standouts in it.
Mhm.
But anybody in that top 10 could beat you any given weekend. We had it was fun to watch some of these kids who utilized other horses and that.
Mhm.
You see Derek sitting fifth there. He's one that could have gone in the steer wrestling with just a couple of breaks, and he's only 80 points out of it. But anyways, those Cole Igren again, our all-around champion, is right there, and just solid. I can't think of another way to say it any better. Wes Shaw, like I say, is also one of our bareback riders, and sitting second going into steer wrestling as well. So
Yeah, we've already talked about most of these boys.
Yes, and Logan, was just in the tie down.
Mhm.
He'll go into events as well. The rest of that group, like I say, from the top 10 on up, is it's just any given weekend would have walked away a champion, and nobody would have even questioned it. So
I see a Foy in there. I wonder if we're related.
there's two of them actually. There's two brothers down there. Wasting and Zane, they're good kids. They ride their horses.
Oh, yeah.
Difficult to deal with, but when they nod their head, that horse is amazing. They work to get him there, but once they get set up,
He's good.
they steer us very well.
All right, team rope and header.
Team opening headers. This one here, the Jace Hanks and roping with Casey Allred. Not Casey Allred, but Wyatt Alston, who's our champion healer, they're two that just left no doubt, consistency wise and week in, week out. And Wyatt Alston, and our healing champion, was also one of our directors, our healing director, and so it was a good leadership role for him. But Chase, UDU, and Wyatt are just, like I say, one of those that left no doubt. Now, Aaron Chentney's and his partner, so I'm looking back and forth, was also our steer wrestling director. But Aaron and those guys just came on really strong at the end of the season, and just did consistently well these last 5 rodeos of the season. Now Casey Thomas, on the other hand, is an amazing header, and easily within a caliber of any one of those above him. But Casey, unfortunately, his partner that he roped with in the fall did not come back. And so we had to rope with some other contestants, and obviously didn't do near as good as he did in the fall, or this spring as he did in the fall. And
so let's talk about that. That changes the standings and who qualifies.
Yes, it does. If you go down to the healing, you're going to see that our number 2 contestant was from Snow College.
Mhm.
Joe Miranda is did not come back to school in the spring, and so Casey had to team up with other contestants, and just really struggled. And
So who will he be roping with then at the finals?
um, I believe he'll be roping with Rhett Nebaker. Rhett will move up. Logan
Okay.
will move up, and so I believe that.
Now I'm going back up here to take a look.
Yep. In case
Man, that kind of messes it up for a lot of teams.
in a way, it does. And this is not the first time I've seen this, but it doesn't very often happen where someone
Mhm.
gets enough points put together to be able to even qualify for a
You'll
national
qualify. Yeah.
and second in our region. Um, but Casey is he's a kid that has the best attitude of anybody in our region. I think he's a great example of keeping his head up, and he just, would rope with obviously anybody that could heel very well at all would definitely rope with him because he is one of the top uh, headers in our region easily. And I think that Nebaker will totally enjoy roping with
Roping with him.
Casey at nationals. So they should be. I'm pretty sure that they're spending some time roping together this last
Between,
since we've been
yeah.
out. So they're not gonna. It's not gonna surprise me if they go to nationals and do very, very well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll just roll down to the barrel racing.
Barrel racing was one. This one was the beginning of our season in the fall. Haven Jones rides an amazing horse, a big white horse that's just impressive start to finish. Seems to have a little bit of attitude, but Haven's the perfect owner and perfect rider for that horse. And they just dominated the scene in the fall. Shelby Higgins, on the other hand, was just one of those that just kind of sat. She's very quiet, just a little girl, just bite size. You almost have to squeeze her to get any noise that come out of her. But she just kind of quietly took care of business. And
That's right up there.
these last 2 or 3 rodeos, she just made it happen. And so when it came out that she ended up winning by just a few points, obviously, but it came down to those 2, and then she measured up and got it done. And she too rides a horse that's just perfect for her. And it's one of those ones where I'm not sure anyone else could get on that horse and get out of it what Shelby does. And I'm not sure Shelby could get on another horse and do any better. So it's just a match made in heaven.
Yes.
And then Haven, like I say, Haven was our all-around champion last year, and she just on that horse. I guarantee you, when we go and get in that small pen at Casper, she'll be a force to be reckoned with at all levels. So because Haven is tough mentally, and she can do it in barrels as well as any other event she's in. So just very impressive. I do want to mention Kendra.
Yeah, we skipped right over that.
She's one that kind of came from out of the back, kind of come to the top of the list in the spring as well. And when it got down to where things started getting tough, and could see things come to a point, Kendra is another one who just brought it, and her and that pony can any given weekend can pull it off when they want to. But to see the pressure that was on those top 4, 5, 6 girls, and to see it come down to that, those top 3 just kind of stood out. tell by the points. But
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be fun to see what they get down in Casper, just because of the horses and the way they perform in those small indoors.
hmm
So
And, we've talked about it before. I'm going to scroll and talk. Probably I would say probably in the goat tying and the barrel racing would have the biggest impact as far as the arena size. I mean, it changes
Yep.
your score. Changes your score. I would also say the team roping is in there too, because your handle is going to be a little different on the head and side. But
yeah,
when your barrel pattern shrinks down like that, it changes your whole mental game, because you've got to be thinking about, before you even come out of first, you got to be thinking about where your second barrel is, and same for the next one. And then
Yep.
you're kicking, and you got to be thinking about stopping and hanging on, because it comes real fast. So, I think the mental game in the barrel racing and the goat tying, and any of them truly at this stage, it just kind of changes a little bit when you come to this smaller pin.
it does, and you're running into walls instead of in the bleachers of people. You
Right.
don't have a background per se, other than walls, and so a lot of horses, it can either make them stand out or make them sink.
Yeah.
And luckily, most of those three there stand out, but they do such an amazing job on the dirt and the way they prep that arena at Casper. We're so fortunate to have the people that we do taking care of us there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just fun to be a part of it. And I actually work on the last 4 or 5 years. I've been on one of the barrel racing crews doing the barrel racing, and so it's
Oh, yeah.
I'm standing right in the arena. It's pretty intimidating,
Up close and personal, for sure.
so
All right.
I have to tell you these ones here. Those top two are both CSI girls from CSI, and they are just the best kids, and obviously very, very good ropers. And it was and Reagan, she's one that obviously had a good season start to finish. But when all the other events were having 800 to 1,000 points to win it, you can see that this is a little more, even though we have more contestants in this breakaway roping than we've had in quite a while. And so it was pretty even pan of talent.
Yeah, the points are a little more spread out.
Yeah. I have to say, Zoe Becky, in number 3 there, she is actually last year's national champion.
Oh, very great. That's cool.
So Zoe was not having the kind of year you would think and was expecting, I'm sure. Often frustrated in an event that she did so well at nationals.
Yeah.
And then at the very last rodeo, she came in and showed what she was made of. She won both the long round, she won the short round, won the average. And as you can see, she got enough points to be 5 points ahead of her teammate to get there. And so we have our national champion coming back. And if she takes up in Casper like she left off at Spanish Fork, she will again be a force to be reckoned with, because she left no doubt at Spanish Fork, our last rodeo.
Well, and I feel like that's a really good segue for when these qualifiers come to Casper, everybody starts at 0.
Oh yeah, that's it.
It's a whole new, completely separate rodeo. So no matter whether you came in first or third, you are here, and everybody starts at 0.
Yep. And that's one of the things that I think makes this region so tough, is because from 1 to 3, they're tough.
Any one of them.
Every region is going to tell you the same thing, and by the end of the season, it should be that way, So, but it's fun. But Lexi and JC Bastion is our all-around champion. Yeah, in the top 5 breakaway. It just says a lot about everybody that's in there, who we are. And if we scroll down to that last event, is our goat tying. I've mentioned her before, McKenna Klingman. We just love McKenna. Had gone to college of Colorado Northwestern Community College, just north of us here, and so she would come down and practice with us from time to time with her by herself or with some teammates, and would come down just to practice with our coaches and on a different set of goats and in a different pen. And she's just a girl that has the maturity to do what she did. Like I say, last year she just barely squeaked into nationals, but this year she left, no doubt. Emma Hodson. Emma is a twin, and her and her sister Erin. You can see her down
Oh,
five.
yep.
They're those two. Not
Talk
just
about iron sharpens iron.
they can beat you roping. They can beat you goat tying. Probably beat you in a foot race if you ever
I
wanted.
can't imagine growing up in a house like that.
I
I mean, that's like the perfect iron sharpens iron. Like they just make each other better and stronger. And I'm sure there's some competition there, even at home.
It is. And there's a sister just a bit older than them, Megan, that she too was just super tough in the goat tying. And so and their dad is the coach at Ogden at Weber. And so it's a rodeo family through and through, and they just bring a lot to the table when they show up. You better
That's fun.
pack a big lunch, because if you
Yes.
against those two, you got your work cut out. JC, you can see are all around. She's in the top three, going to goat tying as well. She's in the top 5 in the breakaway, and so it's just a good credit to what an all-around contestant JC is. Emily Dubois was just out of it. She's been to nationals before as a freshman. In fact, she won a go-around at nationals her first year. So Emily is always good and pushes everybody. Again, she's on that UVU team that just, like I say, is just tough top to bottom. So our goat time to me is one of the funnest events to watch. I don't know why. It's one that our coach here, Brandon and Tia Edwards here, Tia raises goats, has 100 goats or so that she takes all over the country, and just spent the week doing the high school finals here in Colorado this last weekend. And so she knows goat tying start to finish. And so we're lucky to have a lot of these girls like McKenna and them that would come here just because of Tia.
Yeah.
And her ability to help teach kids. We have kids at our place learning how to goat tie every other weekend, it seems like.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Well, I'm kind of partial to goat tying myself, although I don't know that I can do it anymore. So I just get to watch.
Yeah, I never could. So I'm talking about it. Have a chance.
Well, I appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Now, when will you guys be coming into Casper?
We'll come in Wednesday for the social, and we'll be there Wednesday, and our meetings on Thursdays for the most part. I have a son getting married on Friday, so we're gonna fly back for a wedding.
Oh no!
Fly back on Saturday, and so we'll miss a Friday morning for a little bit, but
for a good reason though.
Yeah, like you can't pile enough stuff in the middle of a CNFR. But anyhow, we love coming to Casper. Casper is one of my favorite towns ever, just to come and spend a week. It goes by so fast, and there's so much going on. And the committee there does such a great job of putting on that rodeo that you almost have to go to an NFR or a Fort Worth or something like that to even come close to the spirit and the atmosphere that you get there. So we love what they do for us.
Well, it's been an honor to be a part of it. I've been a part of it here in Casper since it came to Casper, either as a contestant or at first it was voluntold, because I think my freshman year was the first year here, and I didn't want anything to do with it because I didn't make it, and so I still got to help. And then even when I did qualify, I still got to help. So my parents were involved, my grandma and grandpa were involved, and then I've kind of finagled my way into whatever I can do to stay involved since then. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart. I hope to never see it leave Casper, mainly because it's really handy for me. But also because I think it's a really good partnership. So
Yeah.
clearly, I speak for Bullfrog Creatives and not the official word of the NIRA or official CNFR. But, I think with that being said, Casper still has a lot to offer. And that's an excellent segue to the countdown to the CNFR. Make sure you guys are staying tuned to Bullfrog Creatives because I am highlighting some places that you should go while you're here. Although I do know that we've pretty much scheduled every second of your time with something. If you have any extra time, then check out my places to go. Everybody has somewhere to go, but I mean, I live here, so I feel like I have the inside scoop.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll have to go check it out.
Yes. Kevin, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. I know we did go over the brief conversation that I told you we would have, but once you get going talking about something you love, it can be very hard to stop. So
It is. I'm sorry we lost Derek. I mean,
I know. I feel like he had some good things to say. Again, thank you, Kevin, and hopefully we'll meet you at the minimum next week at the mixer.
Heidi, we thank you. Thank you for making
Thank
it
you.
an experience.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we've got some live watchers, but no questions. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer the questions or at least laugh at the comments and share them across the screen. Again, I want to give a special shout out to the National Intercollegiate Rodeo page. If you are not following that Facebook page, please go there. If you are not following the official CNFR page, please go there. We will have tons of results and tons of stories come out on probably both of those pages during the finals, more than likely on the official CNFR page. And then, of course, if you are following those pages, but you are not following Bullfrog Creatives, please go there, like and follow all of that stuff. And we want to give a shout out to Cinch Jeans and Shirts. They will be once again bringing back the Cinch Morning Show, the Cinch CNFR Morning Show. So we will bring that back to you again this year during the CNFR, telling you all the stories about behind the scenes stuff and probably things that you didn't even know that you needed to know. Because those are the kind of stories we like to tell. All right, you guys, we will catch you. Today is Wednesday. Those Mondays off really throw me off. Hey, we've got Dr. Al Wagner from the Southern region on Friday. So we will catch you on Friday. Just kidding.
Perfection almost looks easy. But it isn't. Here's to those who go the distance.